Hello, and thanks for joining us today. I'm super excited you could be here because today we're talking about I don't know, some of my favorite topics because we're really talking about credit. And most importantly, we're talking about how you can actually leverage credit, consumer and commercial credit, consumer and business credit to actually build real wealth. Right? A lot of people might talk about improving personal credit or building business credit, but what you're going to learn about today is how to put these two together, what you need to do to improve both, build both, and then use that to actually create real wealth. I mean, wealth that actually breaks generational cycles. And to have this conversation with us today is Terri Couser. Now, Terri's actually an entrepreneur, she's a coach, and she's a board certified credit consultant with 2 degrees from Villanova University. Now, her career actually began at TransUnion, where she updated thousands of different credit profiles, which actually sparked her passion for real estate and helping others build financial stability through home buying, through selling, and through property management as well. Now, through the wealth building ministry, Terri actually helps individuals and youth to create generational wealth and legacy, partnering with organizations like the Philadelphia Education Fund and Year Up for panels and speaking events as well. Now, today, Terri actually teaches people nationwide how to leverage credit to build wealth and start businesses and achieve financial freedom. She's grown her company into a national brand, partnered with global influencers, including or launched Credit Leverage Lifestyle and the Winner Circle as well community. And she also hosts Major Impact on the CW's Connect Network to help women entrepreneurs master money and investing. Terri, you're a rock star. Thanks for joining us today.
Awesome. I feel like a rock star after that intro. Listen.
I love your spunk. We match each other's energy, which I think is absolutely fantastic. I love that you're from Philadelphia as well, and you're crushing it up there in Philly. I think that's cool. So let me ask you this, like consumer and commercial credit, you got from TransUnion, and then what got you into the other side of the business, actually helping business owners and helping consumers actually fix consumer credit?
Absolutely. And so, and everybody knows that TransUnion is, so I used to work for TransUnion, right? One of the three national credit bureaus. And that led to me buying my first house at the age of 21 while only making $14 an hour. And so I learned very quickly that, looking good on paper is what I call it now, can literally change the trajectory of your life. And just a little bit of background. I'm also a single mother of three. I was in foster care. I was in group homes. So going from being a teen mom at 17 to buying a house at 21 was like an aha moment. And I thought to myself, more people need to know about this. So I started with home ownership, but I quickly learned that wealth building, real estate is one of the number one ways not only to build wealth, but to also transfer wealth. So that led to me growing my business and then completely retiring myself from corporate America and being a self-employed entrepreneur since the age of 38. That's what sparked the business credit. And I understood that personal credit is the foundation, right? Having 700 and above personal credit scores helped me with getting business credit cards and business loans and business lines of credit, which, to be honest, as an entrepreneur, sometimes you have a skill, but you don't always know how to run a business. So I learned very quickly that the marriage of the two is what helps you build wealth and legacy.
So let's start on the consumer side, and I love that.
Yes.
I love that because consumer and commercial credit are so important, and experts out there oftentimes hit on one and act like you don't need the other, which you and I both know is not the case. So when it comes to building wealth, like talk to me about the importance of consumer credit to being able to make that happen.
Especially so, it's so important. I know the narrative out there and it sounds great for clicks, it sounds great for views. But if you're a brand new business owner, you have very little revenue, you're in business 1 to 5 years, it's very hard to get up the bigger business credit and have bad credit scores. And so, what I really learned, especially everybody post COVID, right? After COVID, entrepreneurs and businesses are high risk to lenders, right? So they're really looking at, is the business owner stable and is the business stable? So for consumer credit, that 700 and above helps lenders feel more safe lending to you, especially as a new business, which people don't understand. The very first 1 to 5 years, you're still a lot of times very high risk to lenders. So it's the foundation for business credit, it's the foundation for personal funding, and it's the foundation for qualifying for real estate financing if we're talking about having those multiple streams of income to build your empire long term. So guys, it's the base. It's the base, especially if you are new. If you don't know where to start having 700 and above. At least you can get credit cards from like whoever you have your business checking account from. They can lead to other things.
I found that a lot of entrepreneurs that get into business are risk takers, right? Because we have to be kind of crazy to start our own businesses. We got to be, I mean, let's be honest, we got to be pretty nuts. So, like, but those people, their credit oftentimes reflects those risks. Like a lot of people, especially launching businesses, don't have good credit. So, what do you say to those people? Because it sounds easier said than done to get to 700. Like, how does somebody go from where they are, which typically isn't at 700 when they're launching a business because
Right.
their credit's all banged up? What steps should they be taking to start to get to that point where they have 700 plus scores?
Yes, 1,000%. And to be honest, what I would say is, so we are risk takers. I'm not even going to lie. I was a single mom of three, and I just left a six-figure job and was like, God, I trust you. And I hit some, even as a credit expert, right? Because to be honest, there's not a lot of people in this space that actually worked for a national credit bureau. I'm actually probably one of maybe less than a dozen that have that experience. And so I learned very quickly. I had a knowledge, I had skill, I had passion, but I did not know how to be a good business owner. I did not know how to be a good entrepreneur. So I hit some dark days. And so what I would say for that 700 and above, number one, look at your open available credit. So many people focus on collections and things of that nature, but if you're looking to qualify for financing, lenders are looking at how do you manage your credit right now. So if your car note is past due, pay it up. If you have a personal loan that's past due, pay that up. Like start with if your credit cards are maxed out, pay down that utilization. I think we overcomplicate the process, but look at, how are you managing your current debt? Start there. Number two, I would say if you do have collection or charge-offs, and look, do I have permission to be honest today, Ty?
Yes,
Because
please. Full transparency here.
I'm about to say something because there's all these videos are like, never pay a collection, never pay a collection, never pay a charge off. But to be honest with you, if you know it's valid, and listen to my language, if you know it's valid, you can write 300 letters. And let's say they validate it and it's verified. Well, I'm not going to let a $100 collection stop me from my $50,000 business credit card. I'm not going to let a $500 collection stop me from my $100,000 business line of credit. So if you have collections that are valid and you've tried everything, it is worthwhile to either try to do a pay for or delete or at least a settlement to get it to a zero balance so that you can qualify for the wealth building money, right? We're talking about the 6 and 7 figures, the bigger money. And I would say number three, tackle the low hanging fruit. So things like, a lot of hard inquiries or things like things like closed accounts that are a zero balance and closed, and you may have had late payments 3 or 4 years ago. Do the dispute process the right way with the credit bureaus directly on your own. Not a credit repair company, right? So we teach you how to do it on your own so you can have a better result faster with less money out of pocket. And if you do just those things, open available credit, pay down utilization and past due accounts, settle or dispute or settle collections, tackle low hanging fruit like inquiries and past due older accounts. If you do just those things, that's 5 action items. You literally can see 20 to 50 to 80 points increase right there in 30 to 90 days.
Wow. Now you
Look,
mentioned I love that. And one of the things you mentioned was pay per delete. So I know you and I are industry, in the industry. I've been in the industry for a long time, but tell
yes.
people what pay per delete actually means.
Yes, absolutely. And that's also a term that's kind of thrown around a lot. And so it works best with collections, guys. So it isn't like you're going to have a repo and then it's a valid repo and the company's going to agree to delete the entire trade line or the entire account. So it works best with collections. That just means it's valid. You disputed it. It is standing in the way of your pre-approvals that you need for business credit. So it is wise as an entrepreneur to kind of get those things out of the way. So you can call up the collection agency and nugget right here. So I say nugget when I'm trying to give an action item, right? A nugget right here. I always say pull a copy of your credit report and always negotiate with the entity reporting the information, right? That's another big mistake is you'll make all these phone calls to all these other collection agencies. Look at who's reporting it on your credit report. Call them directly. I always say have the money in the bank when you're actually calling them and negotiate. Hey, this is $1,000. I have $400 right now. If I would like to make a settlement, I had a hardship. Will you agree to delete this? And you will be surprised how many collection agencies just want to collect something at this point. And it's valid. They know it's valid. They will agree to delete it and you save pennies on the dollar. So you spent $400 and now you're able to qualify for a $5,000 business credit card. That is a wise use of that money. I also recommend getting that in writing from them and then hack is to dispute it with the credit bureaus after you make the payment, because a lot of times that will force them to actually delete it from your credit report.
Now, when you do it with the credit bureaus and you do that dispute, do you use the letter that they gave you stating it was supposed to be deleted with that dispute to get it removed?
Yes, I actually say you usually don't need to, because a lot of times what the collection agencies do, and great question, right? For everybody out there, Ty already knows these, but for everybody out there, right? And so this is where a lot of times the collection agencies, they're not your friend, right? They don't really care about your credit. We're gonna be real here. So a lot of times they'll take the money and they'll close it in their system. They don't necessarily do that next step, their due diligence, to always delete it from your credit report. So I tell people, initiate the dispute with the credit bureaus directly, because that will force the credit bureaus to reach out to them and say, hey, is this supposed to be deleted? And sometimes, guys, sometimes they just don't respond at all, which causes it to be deleted, right? Because through the Fair Credit Reporting Act, they have 3 days by law to respond. So you do a dispute with the credit bureaus, they don't respond because they got their money, they closed it out. It gets deleted in less than 30 days, easy breezy. Use a
Wow.
letter if you come into any kind of issues.
Yeah, that's a heck of a nugget. Now, when you're disputing, how do you dispute? What is the best way to dispute? Because some people say that, you dispute online, or some people say that, you write the letters in crayon. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff out there. Like, I've heard it all for decades. So you tell me, what's the best way that you found to be able to dispute to get results?
I love it. You said I've heard it all for decades too, and I'm gonna be honest. Like sometimes I hear some of these videos, and I'm like, that should be criminal. Like this is bad information, like really bad information. So I always say, and mind you, I worked for TransUnion for multiple years, right? And so I've seen it on the back end. I honestly couldn't even launch my company until over 10 years because of the non-complete disclosures and all those kinds of things with the bureau. And so always do it in writing. The right answer is always do it in writing. When you do it over the phone, when you do it online, you're actually, a lot of the small print, you're giving up a lot of your rights. And when you do it over the phone, guess what? Because I was a phone operator at one time at TransUnion, we're trained to ask you certain questions. A lot of you guys get tripped up and you say things over the phone that hurt your dispute. So I always say, do it in writing to all 3 credit bureaus directly: TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian. This is another big mistake, because just because TransUnion deletes it doesn't mean Equifax or Experian will. People don't understand they are competitors. They are privately owned. So you always dispute with TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian in writing. And post-COVID, I always say, do it certified so you can track when they got it, because they have 30 days by law to respond.
Okay. So
Yes.
you're tracking it. And then how do we get the address? Just look those up online, or where to mail them, or what do we know what to put in the letter? Because there's a lot of bad advice there too about the templates. You get a template, use AI to write it. Like, what do we do there?
All right. So look, you see, and I'm from Philly, right? So I'm going to do my best smile face right here.
I see that you're holding back, and I love every moment of that.
The template letters are trash. Period. I'm going to say it like it is. And the reason why I say this, for a long time, way before it got really popular, there is software that we would use at TransUnion to identify these credit disputes. We used to call them credit clinics, right? And I just want to say something, right? If we get 500 letters and they're all the same font, the same wording, the same format, we know that Rebecca from California and Mike from Florida and Jim from Michigan, we know it's a credit clinic, a credit company just trying to sweep things. And to be honest, you can even tell by the language. I'm probably going to say some unpopular things here, but I'm into education, right? To help people have the real results. And so when you're like, per section 609, blah, 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 we know the Fair Credit Reporting Act. Real consumers sound like, my name is Kim. I got denied a house. This account from Discover is paid in full. This collection isn't mine. I have medical insurance. Delete it now, Kim. That's how real consumers sound. It's a stark difference. So I always say, write your own letter. Number one, let me give you some tangible things. Less is more, and follow a simple template. All of your personal information, the company name, the company account number, what you're disputing, and what you want the result to be. So let me give you an example. Bank of America, account number, paid in full, please dispute and update the balance. Toyota, account number, never mind, dispute and delete. Literally, less is more in your personal information, and send it off. You'll be surprised how just being clear and specific will get you a way better result.
Hmm. So
I know, right?
yeah, and I love the transparency and just how clear that is. Now, let me ask you this though, from the bureau's perspective, does it matter if the letter comes from a credit clinic or it comes from the borrower? Like they or the consumer, do they handle it differently in that scenario, even if they do know?
So sometimes they do. So they have a lot of like third party requests. There's a lot of like like gray area about other people doing this for you. And what I really want to say is there have been people that have been in credit repair, right? 6, 12, 24 months. You're paying $100 a month, and I won't name any companies' names, but some of them have been sued by the Consumer Protection Bureau. I'll just leave that right there. Some of the big credit companies, right? And you've been in credit repair for 12, 24 months, and you don't have a result. Guys, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over again and not getting and not having different results. And so you'd be surprised how doing it yourself and then looking at the other things. A credit company can't pay down utilization. A credit company can't do a pay for delete. A credit company can't add credit builder accounts. So we find that when you do the disputes along with the other things, you get like 50, 80 points in 90 days. Now, all of that other money you're using for to start your business, to get your website, to incorporate your business, to get tier one accounts. Come on, somebody, right? To get your EIN, to get your business phone number, to get your virtual office. I can go on. So there's a wiser use for that money. So spend the time to do it on your own. I promise you, on your own, you can get a result in 30 to 90 days.
I love it. I love the advice. You mentioned credit builder accounts. What are credit builder accounts?
Yes, so credit builder accounts for personal credit, right? They are accounts. So I like to use Self. So Self is a really, really good reputable one. The Self credit builder account, they have a card too that will give you installment and also revolving credit. Revolving is like credit cards, installments like loans. People don't understand that your open available credit drives your credit scores, right? To that 700, so you can transition into business credit. So there are accounts that are no hard inquiry, report to all three credit bureaus, and they will add positive payment history. So I teach a lot of high level strategy because I've been doing this a long time, right? And when you said over 20 years of experience, everybody's supposed to think, oh, she don't look that old, right? That's what you were supposed to think, right? But anyway, over
That's
20
what I
years,
thought.
thank you. So this is where the combination of disputing things and adding positive payment history give you a better result faster. So I always say, add the credit builder accounts while you're doing your disputes, paying down your utilization, your charge offs, your pay for deletes. And again, like I've helped at this point thousands of people with TransUnion, but thousands of people with my own consulting firm get 700 plus credit scores in like 90 days, and then also transition into business credit.
So
Yeah.
as I like that. Did you set us up perfectly to transition to business?
Yes.
Like that was nice. Like you
That
should be
was
doing
nice.
my
You
job here. I
see?
don't know what's going on? So let's talk about business credit then. How does business credit, where does business credit really come in? We're talking about entrepreneurs, now we talked a lot to help anybody, but everybody watching this is an entrepreneur. So how do we segue? Well, what's the separation? What's the difference between consumer and business credit? Let's start there.
Yeah, so business credit is a blessing. I'm just going to say because the things that people don't understand is that each EIN has its own borrowing power. So I always tell people, no, your name, your address, your social credit scores, that's it. But say you have a podcast, you have a book, and you are a landscaper. You know what I mean? That's three EINs. If you learn business credit, you get a build a blueprint and you build a business credit for one, let's say for your book, you literally duplicate the process for the other two. It literally equals 6 and 7 figures, which we have literally, I've seen myself personally and people that learn this. So it's for your business, it's in your business's name. And what I would say is it's higher limits, much easier and faster to build, and a lot more flexibility because, and I don't even want to talk about like when you get to a certain brackets, you're not even looking at the income you're making, you're looking at your tax write-offs. So buying cars in your business name, paying for your virtual assistant. These all look, investing in help, in coaching and credit builder programs, those all become legitimate tax write-offs to build your brand and also bring down your tax liability. So you're keeping more of your own money in your pocket. I don't know why we don't teach this in school and college, to be honest with you. Because so many people honestly are business owners. Like you're babysitting, you're doing lashes, you're painting houses. They just don't incorporate it and build it like a business. So that's what we teach. Whatever your side hustle is, incorporate it and build business credit.
So what are some of the myths that you hear and see about business credit?
Well, besides the one that we hit on the head, you don't need personal credit at all because there is a way to build through the tier system without personal credit. But what I would say, and just like you said before, we're risk takers, right? And so you want to be able to, let's say you have a couple of bad months, you want to be able to get the business loan to hire marketing, to hire a virtual assistant, maybe start your YouTube channel and get equipment. You want to be able to have that flexibility so you can actually grow your business. So one myth is that your personal credit doesn't matter. Can you do it without good personal credit? Yes. Is that the wisest way? And will that get you the big money right away? No, it's always wise to work on your personal credit. The second thing is that like you have to be making like $500,000 a year or be completely self-employed or have 20 employees. Guys, you can have a $50,000 career and have a $50,000 side hustle and build business credit with that side hustle. You do not have to be a completely self-employed entrepreneur, which is one of the other things I talk about a lot. Now, I'm a completely self-employed entrepreneur, but I always say that's not meant for everybody. Everybody's not meant to be a self-employed entrepreneur. Everybody is meant to build wealth for their families and have multiple streams of income, especially post-COVID when we saw so many people lose their jobs and not have any other way to earn income.
Sure. Makes sense.
Yeah.
So business credit, what are some of the most important steps to get started with building initial business credit?
Oh man, I'm about to say something else unpopular. You ready, Ty? You
I'm
ready,
ready.
Ty? So just having a website, just having a DBA is not being a legitimate legal business. Guys, incorporate your step number. If you have an idea for a business, you want to be Ty's credit experts. Incorporate that name. You can go through incorporate.com, through InkFile, go through the Secretary of State. Just grab the name, number one. That way, when you do try to go for the bigger money, when you get approved, because I'm going to speak life, for that bigger money, you already are a legal entity. That's step number one. Step number two, have your EIN and your business bank account. I'm going to say something else unpopular. Cash App is not a business bank account. They might look, I hope y'all, look, I'm sorry, y'all, but he was told me to tell the truth, right? So, and mind you, a business bank account is like a stamp of approval also, right? It says that you are a legitimate business, but even think about it, Ty, right? Because you all helped so many people. You've even helped our clients and myself personally get funding before. So this is where if you want a business line of credit, they have to transfer it into your business bank account. You want equipment and financing? They transfer. You want working capital, you want merchant cash advances. It goes into your business bank account. So do not, I don't care if you have $0 and 0 cents. Don't skip that step. I also say have a DUNS, right? Like that's going to be like an indicator that you are a qualified, legitimate business. And a small hack that I tell everybody that people miss is guys, make an appointment with your small business banker, right? Like literally, if you have your checking account and your savings account with whatever bank it is, you'd be surprised how when you have your business bank account with them, they have funding that is not on the website, that is not advertised, not the teller, not the security guard, the actual business banker. I have stories about how people were like, I got approved for this, I got approved for that. It's because they sat and they had that conversation. And then also reach out to credible sources, right? So Credit Suite has been around forever, right? So stop listening to 25 different people. Get a credible source and stay focused on them and follow those steps because proven results speak better than any marketing, right? And so do some of those things and start with corporate cards. I love gas cards and fleet cards to give you those trade lines right away that are high limits. They are not a big barrier to get. And one last thing I'll say right here, guys, is use your tier accounts, right? Like I'm a real estate investor too. So people always talk about Granger and Uline. I've used Granger and Uline for sump pumps, for trash bags, for cleaning things out, for cleaning supplies during COVID when the consumers couldn't get stuff. So use your tier one and tier two and tier three accounts for things that you would generally use your money for anyway. That's how you leverage wisely.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of places like Granger. It's interesting because people talk about so many things they can't buy from those sources, and like you said, I've never had a difficult time figuring out things I can. Well,
What?
you talk a lot about big money, and that it ties it in, right? Because we're talking about using credit to build wealth, and to build wealth, you need some big money. Like you got to get into real estate and some things like that where it takes some money to get into. So how do we get there? Like, how do we combine like what you've talked about, what you have it to start getting to a point where we could use credit to build real wealth?
Absolutely. And so what I would say is that when I'm talking about big money, I'm always talking about 550,000 to 100,000 plus, right? And that's where I specialize. And some of these basic steps having 700 credit scores being incorporated. You can get by with doing a little, right? You want little money or you want big money. You can qualify, you can get some smaller things doing a little, but if you want a lot, you have to have that foundation right there. And what I would say is with the business lines of credit, with equipment financing, with working capital, with business loans, even, you have to be generating some income, usually, depending on who you're qualifying with, right? Real big nugget right here. There's a very big difference between the big banks, the regional banks, and the fintech companies, right? And what they're looking for. So one thing that I kind of borrowed from Ty and their brand is like the three C's, right? Credit, cash flow, and collateral. And I talk about that a lot. Like I literally had a business owner that had an opportunity to invest in a restaurant, and she needed like $50,000, and she could not qualify based on revenue and credit scores, but she owned a food truck. Hello. So because she had been following and knowing, we were able to leverage her food truck, which was collateral, to get her money that she needed, that she invested in a restaurant that brought her back a six-figure return. So guys, like it's like you doing these foundational things, but having the credit and then having, if you have collateral, so sometimes that's equipment, sometimes that's real estate, sometimes that is and I would sometimes that is stocks, bonds, 401k, because there's asset-based financing. I've been doing this a long time. And then what I would say with revenue is, guys, get started with what you have. Right. I started my business from my dining room table with a cell phone, a laptop, a printer, a dream, and God. Right. I just started working on clients and generating the revenue. So by the time that I went for funding, I was making $5,000 a month. Right. And then I was making $10,000 a month. So get started with what you have so you can then look credible on paper to qualify for the bigger money.
Now, Terri, what is it exactly you do?
Yes. So a lot. One of the things is talk. I know, like, so, no, I am a business coach. So I am very big into financial literacy. So I do, live speaking events where I teach the steps for personal and or business credit and legacy and real estate investing. I do training and courses. I put out free content on YouTube, right? And the reason why I just love, what Credit Suite has done is that, there's free and there's paid. We're going to be honest, right? We're entrepreneurs, right? And so until you're able to invest in a coach, training, a credit builder program, you consume the free, you work on it, you execute, then you scale up your brand and you transition into some of the paid that's going to help you get a better return. So training, coaching, courses, and speaking. We will not do it for you, but we will teach you how to do it so you can have long-term success.
What else should not? And I love that. And by the way, your best site is creditleveragedlifestyle.com, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Or yes, yes, yes,
And we'll
yes.
talk about that in the end, but I want to
Yeah.
mention it at creditleveragedlifestyle.com because a lot of what Terry's saying is available there. You could get so much information here. You can even access their courses, some other things on here. So make sure you check that out. Well, what shouldn't I have asked you what didn't I ask you that I should have that you think is really invaluable for somebody to really understand what's important for using credit to build wealth?
Yeah, absolutely. So what I would say is people always say, well, is now a good time? There's so much risk. Like, when should I get started? The key is to get started now, right? Multiple streams of income is the way to build wealth, period. So I'm actually like a really big nerd behind the scenes and I read a lot. And so there's like this stat about, multimillionaires, you get there by building a business, inheriting it, or doing both. There's not people that are multimillionaires and billionaires that just have a career. You can love your career, but this is why you have a CEO and they invest in real estate and they own laundromats and they rent cars, right? They do stocks, they do crypto. So it's like if you have a job and you love your job, build your side hustle. If you have your business, I always tell people set a goal to get to that $10,000 a month mark. And why do I always start right there? Because once you start making consistently $10,000 a month, that tells us that your messaging, your marketing, and your offer is usually on point. After that, you usually just need to make some adjustments and then scale. And that goes into hiring and systems and all those kinds of things. So the biggest thing is number one, get started now with what you have. Number two, multiple streams of income, no matter what they are, is the way to build wealth. And number three, and I'm just going to say this one, I'm going to say it with a smile. One stream of income from one employer is dangerous, especially in 2025. Do not put all your eggs in one basket. So if you have a full-time job and you're doing something part-time, now is the time to get serious about your entrepreneurship and your side hustle and your business credit, because you don't want to be left with a pink slip and no other way to feed your family. And mind you, single mother of three. right? So I'm not talking about what I read. I'm not talking about what's in a book. Like I joke a lot, that's my personality, but building my business is one of the biggest blessings. It's been the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. And it's been the most important thing I've ever done in my life. I would not be living this lifestyle had I not stepped out on faith and done the work. So get started now because there's somebody depending on you.
Terry, you're a rock star. I said
Oh,
before we started this interview, I said, I love being on here with somebody that has the same passions that I have, and you are just as passionate about it as I am, which I just love it. So thank you so much for coming on with us today.
yeah. No, thank you so much for having me and thank you for just having a platform where we can be honest and kind of cut through all of the noise that's online so people can have real information and have real results.
Yeah, I love that. So listen, if you're watching this, this is, if you really think about this, I think Elon Musk, I read the other day that, he's like the only person in history, I think, to have like multiple, either $2 or $3 billion businesses, right? And then we look at people like Steve Jobs and what he's built at Apple and so many others. But here's what's interesting. To Terry's point, they basically had something that was successful. Then they took the money and invested it to get to where they are. Like Jobs did the exact same thing, right? Like he got out, and built Next, and built Pixar, and then came back and built Apple to what it was. And Elon Musk had PayPal, and then he came out and built these things. So, what happens and what Terry's talking about is so invaluable because what she does is she coaches and teaches you how to create multiple income streams, how to invest in real estate. But then she brings in this side of knowledge of how to basically leverage credit to do it all. And I think it's interesting because you don't see a lot of experts that know those different sides that say, hey, here's how you get to really, generational wealth. Like, here's how you get there. But in order to get there, let's be honest, you have to have credit. You have to have money. So how do we get the money and the credit to make that thing happen? And she bridges that gap beautifully in a way that I've never seen another human do it. So what I suggest that you do is make sure that you go to creditleveragedlifestyle.com. That's creditleveragedlifestyle.com. And you can see a lot of information about what Terri does and what she can actually do to help you basically fix these sides, be able to access the money through consumer credit and business credit to get yourself to a point where you can get the real money, the 50, 100K plus, and then use that wisely to create multiple income streams and real estate. Don't be one of those people that just thinks you're going to sell your business down the road and get rich. A lot of people don't, right? So let's start working on it right now. Create multiple income streams. Do all of these things right now. It's only going to help you. And then it gives you stability in your life and it really puts you on the path of generational wealth. And it all happens in one place, which is creditleveragedlifestyle.com. So make sure you check it out today. Make sure you follow Terri on social as well. Thanks for tuning in. Take care. Have a great day.